Welcome to Albion TV presents the AO Daily Show, your source of real news in an unreal world, keeping you up to date on the latest news, events, and the great community of Albion Online. Today is Wednesday, the 25th of August, 2021, and I am your host, the Shozen One, and joining me today, as always, the great, the powerful, the mysterious Bogul.
I was trying to make a sound of like a mysterious appearance, but the only thing I could think of was like, like,
Well, do you have those elephant noises still?
no, that was a mishap that happened during the ZVG show. Let's not talk about that. I don't even remember how we got to talking about elephants during a.
So it was the elephant in the room. We were
Yes.
talking about the situation with Elevate versus PoE and how PoE needed to bring double the numbers, and the elephant in the room is the reason why.
Oh, right. I see. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and we don't talk about that.
Okay.
Mhm.
What are we talking about then instead
Well,
today? sir?
today we have all sorts of content. We have a new fishing video. Did you know that Albion has a brand new fishing video?
I do.
Yeah, you've seen it. I know. It's part of
We
your job.
will watch that later during the show.
Yeah. Woo.
It tells you everything you need to know about fishing, and it's a good thing to link to your friends if they have any sort of questions. It just doesn't answer one thing,
Hmm?
and I think that's where to get sharks. But that's, I guess, the late
Starter
game
zones.
fishing. Oh, all right. I guess we don't
Right?
keep a secret.
Is that
then.
still where it
Okay.
is that still where it is? Don't you still do it at the
I've actually
this
never caught a
the
shark
crossroads?
myself. I don't know. I've never caught a shark myself, even
Okay.
though I have eaten quite a lot of fish. What?
I used to eat a lot of fish as well. It was the way I filled my dailies was by doing fishing on like 3 accounts.
Hmm.
And then I would take the fishing journals to your island, and that's where I was making the money, was dropping the fishing journals into your laborers. That was how I really made the good. That was a good deal.
Did you ever catch a shark then?
I have never caught a shark because that
See?
was I didn't
Is
go
that just a
to the
mysterious
starter
animal then?
late. Well, again, I didn't go to the place where I'm under the impression you could get them.
Right.
I was under the impression you could get them at the crossroads, and I never really fished out of there.
Hmm.
I didn't want to go over there. I was definitely doing red zone and black zone fishing.
Yeah. Well, by the way, today's Wednesday, and we
Mhm.
have a daily show.
Yeah, this is a little different this
What's
week.
going on?
Usually we do a interview today.
Yes.
That's what we try to do. But this Friday, when we would normally do our news show,
Mhm.
there is a roundtable call, and I intend to be at that.
So you can't be at the
2
Twitch
places at once, right?
Yeah, I see.
And so I plan on airing an interview at that time.
Mhm.
We're gonna try to run it then if everything works out. That's the goal, is to have the interview air during that so I can be there. If not, then I will just suck it up and I will be at one place at one time, and it will be at the roundtable call because I have to get the feedback for that.
Right.
Mhm. So that actually leads us to another thing that we're going to be talking about today, Bogle. As we've been doing over the last 2 weeks, we've been talking a lot of feedback, and that is
Mhm.
because we have a new feedback show, and that will be on tomorrow. Robin Hood RS, myself, and Tazik will be talking about mostly smaller scale content, not necessarily ZVZs and Outland stuff like we've been doing the last couple of days, and which we will be talking a little bit more about today. But we're going to talk about Hellgates and corrupted dungeons and 5v5s and even a little bit of 10v10 content, maybe even touch on 20v20, mostly the instanced content and how the most recent patch really affected that. Did it have a big effect? Where were the areas that it had effect? And are there any unintended consequences?
Interesting. Okay, so you guys went around, asked around the community, and got a few interesting answers, I suppose, right? And that's going to be
Yes, it's actually been very interesting because we've been collecting data now for a few months now.
Mhm.
And generally the way I have collected most of the data myself personally, can't speak for the other guys because they've done different things, is people will start complaining, right?
Yeah.
About something incessantly. And because of my position in the community, I hear a lot of it. And when, I hear it over and over again, I go to people who should know about it and I discuss that with them, the people who are well informed on that topic. Interesting thing, not as much complaints this time around about the current balance. The complaint that I get is that 5v5s are stale. That's the
Right.
biggest
Okay.
complaint. Like, I was concerned about what would the healing meta be in corrupted dungeons, and I've looked at it, and it doesn't seem to jump out nearly as, like, when there was the reset meta
Hmm.
with CC and the Ironclad in corrupted dungeons, it jumped off the page. You could see it. It was bad. It needed work. Like, you could tell very quickly that there was something that needed to be done. I'm not seeing that this time. I'm seeing different things, and it's
So quiet is good then, or
by it generally good.
okay. Huh.
But the areas that the complaints are the consistent complaints, the areas that we've always seen. The 5v5 is getting stale. The meta has lasted too long. Bows are, always there. Curse is always there.
Right.
What do you do
Yeah.
about that? Do you need to bring something else up, or do you need to bring them down? And if you're only bringing them down because they're the meta, not because they're OP, is that the right thing to do? And do you want to do that just to spice things up? It's not necessarily the way to do things. When I look at 2v2 Hellgates, I look at uh, what it was 2 months ago with the CC meta and the one-shot dagger meta, which was very unfun to play against. That's not an enjoyable way to play the game, where you're waiting to bait out somebody else's cleanse for the opportunity to be the one who gets the final stun. Like, it's a stun trade between cleanses and stuns, right?
Hmm.
Um, and then whoever gets the stun off wins because the dagger kills the guy who's stunned. That didn't seem very fun to me. Currently, the meta is more like, okay, it's everybody has a great holy partner, and then you have a bunch of different people who play along with them, and it's much more back and forth. And while sometimes you can tell very early on who's going to win because they're winning all these long trades, it doesn't look like it's as awful as some of the, like, there's certain types of gameplay that's just not fun to play against, right?
Hmm. So you guys
But you
will
feel like you have like an outplay option when it's two healers and a DPS, and DPS is playing against each other.
so you guys are going to talk about that more tomorrow then?
Yeah, and I could talk about it right now, which I've
I,
just
I'm
done, but
I'm I'm
yeah,
noticing that
you're trying to move
you're
me
not
on.
stopping. Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like you guys did a lot of research on that topic then. Okay. Okay. So 19 UTC, right? Tomorrow? Or is
Mhm.
that the 20?
Tomorrow is 19 UTC, yes.
Oh, okay.
That's
Okay.
instead of a daily show. We're going to do it at the same slot. And
Right.
that's where we try to have those kinds of conversations.
Hmm.
And then Friday, of course, hopefully, if everything goes well, it will be the interview.
I
Um,
see. I see.
And today we're going to talk a little bit more about some of those things on the roundtable, because one of the things I want to do with this show is keep you guys informed on that. I think that's part of the community news. I think it really is an important part of what is available for you guys to hear. And over time, I've been fighting for that for you. And the more I'm involved with it, like I said, the more I get to talk about it with you. You guys are my guild, essentially. I'm trying to bounce the ideas off of you like I would if you were my vendetta. So I talk about the stuff on the roundtable, which I'm allowed to do with my guild.
That's an
And
interesting loophole. I like it.
yeah, so yeah. It's really
Wow.
it's also my job is to get the feedback on this stuff, and I can't do it if I'm just talking to the same 12 guys all the time. Why would I do that to myself?
Yikes. Yeah, okay. You mentioned the roundtable stuff. That's essentially a follow-up to the thing we have been talking about yesterday and last week, Tuesday and Friday. We did two very long shows on Tuesday and Friday about a idea introduced by Korn essentially tackling a lot of the stuff that's going on in the Outlands. And he had an idea requesting feedback that is currently in the design stages. There was one response to a bunch of community questions collected by Robinhood RS that was put in there, and we wanted to show that, and we'll talk about a little bit of that. We will also have a few Reddit things that we didn't get to yesterday that are quite funny. So we will have that later on as well. And of course, raffles and stuff like that. So we do have a little bit of content, but I think it's time for a word from our sponsor, Shozen.
Our sponsor, Sandbox Interactive, maker of the brand new limited edition from this time on only new skin that you can get here. Is that what you want me to show off?
I was thinking you were going to
Demon
say
Hunter?
the new indie game Albion Online, you know?
Oh,
But sure, yes, with that indie game has this cool new skin, the Demon Hunter skin. It's out and about, and you can. It looks quite fancy. It looks purple, looks nice. Has that that Demon Hunter look to it.
mm-hmm.
Hat, coat, boots, cape, horse skin, all together in one bundle. It's out in the shop, and that's.
I want to know how to get it to do that emote, the warm my hands up and fix my cowl.
Yeah, I don't. How do I get that?
How do I get a fire and the ability to sit down?
Yeah, I mean,
Bogul, wait.
yeah.
Do you remember when they added fingers?
Yes.
Could sitting be next?
Sit.
So
I don't know, man.
There's another post. This is a segue
Is
into a bit more news. Do you have access to Robin Hankey's Twitter account?
I can pull that up in a second. Yes.
Because he's been much more active and he's been asking questions. And I feel like we need to tweet him and go, when can we sit in a chair? Like, because he asked what he wants us to talk about, but we want him to talk about in the next dev talk. Okay, I'm really confused here. The pronouns are really messing me up. But he asks what we want him to talk about. And I'm thinking, when will we be able to sit in chairs?
I think that's an underwhelming question, but if you're free to use your Twitter as you like.
Okay. Well, why don't we look at some of the other things that he talked about? Because there was one that was hidden in there that you responded to with doubt.
So, 27 responses, right? You can still respond to him, rhinkeys on Twitter, right? You can see that there. CEO and game director of Sandbox Interactive. Maybe you'll get your message across. Hot tip. But yeah, he made this post you talked about. And we have a few responses here, and one of them is by Lupac that says farming quality of life. And he says, didn't cover this in the dev talk, but there's a secret cabal here at Sandbox working towards this. I hear they're close to achieving their goal.
What? And then what did you say, Bogul?
I mean, I don't want to ruin the party, but I mean, I'm a natural skeptic, okay? And that has I want it with all my heart, right? I want to believe it, really I do.
You're not going to show what you posted there? You're just going to show those little eyes?
Everybody knows what these eyes mean.
Do they, Bogul?
Yes.
Okay. So a question for you.
Yes.
In relation to you, who's Robin?
Who is Robin?
Yeah. What's his relation to you?
To me?
Yes.
Are you telling me who my boss is?
Certainly not me. I'm just saying it's an interesting post to send to your boss.
Well, Real talk, man. This has been on the please do it list for 3 years, and it has been.
Well, I think what it's showing is just how much you love farming and crafting. And you've been on that push for, like you said, 3 years, right?
Mhm.
4 years even, maybe. Because I think that you might have already been pushing for it when the game released, saying that this needed to have a little bit of a polish going in, and you have not found the addition of mobile and faster planting to be a big enough upgrade for farming.
Bobo. Yes, no, I haven't. No, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll try to make you feel a little bit less uncomfortable. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. I'm totally comfortable with pointing that out because it's
Yeah.
just how some things, I have certain opinions on certain features, but there's a priority in how you do things, and arguably mobile is for the game overall a little bit more important than measly farming. But you know, I'll keep on that flagpole and keep pushing that because one day we'll have good farming in the game.
I hope so, because one of the first things I had to do when I started playing Albion was farm, and I had to farm a lot. I ran the farming for my first guild, and we only had like 2 towers, Bogle.
Uh-huh.
But that was a lot of farming.
Yeah. I know people who have wrist pain because of that, and then it's like, okay, what are you doing? Well, I'm farming, and then you go,
I
oh.
have wrist pain because.
Yeah. So
Are you saying there's gonna be a class action suit, Bogle?
let's not go there. Yeah. But back to the Twitter post. He gave a bunch of responses to some of the questions there. I'll link it in the good old Twitch chat, and you guys can drop them and a follow. Maybe say hello. Maybe make him happy that he started.
Yeah, I want to see more posts. Go follow him, please.
Yeah.
Please go follow him. Encourage him to tweet more because it's been fun. Speaking of fun, he actually had a response to me as well on that tweet thread.
Outlands changes, small scale content. You'd like to see more of that in the dev talk. And then he's like, what new weapons?
Yeah, I said more info on the new weapon shown in the dev talk. I said new weapon shown in the dev talk, and he says, what new weapons? I said nothing about weapons. Let's just be clear. I said new weapon shown in the last dev talk. I don't know what this guy is talking about. I'm afraid he's going to kick me off of Twitter.
Well. Enough plugging of that man's personal social media, right? I mean, we're doing our boss a favor by plugging his social media, right? It can't be too bad that we also make fun of him on Twitter, right? Is that an acceptable trade-off for me, Shozen? Let's move on, quick.
Before I get kicked off of Twitter.
That's what?
Where do you want to go to next? Do you want to hit the Leopard skin, the Season 13?
All of them.
Crystal League Championship. Okay, let's hit up the Snow Leopard. Let's do that. I mean, we are 18 minutes and we can talk about the PSAs and what you can get by recommending a friend. Yes, you can get your very own Snow Leopard, not to be confused with the White Tiger.
Kind of similar, kind of white. One is a little bigger. The White Tiger is a little bigger. This one is, I think the same. It's both a Swift Claw, right? But this one is a little cuter and has a long bushy tail. It comes with, of course, tomes as well. If you refer more than one friend, and the interesting thing is that it's not tradable until the end of the season plus 15 days. The end of the referral season, that is. So. Interesting. I'm really curious to see what the price of these will be now. Since all the people who got them have to hold on to them for a while. So you can still make a bunch somehow because there's a lot of people. But, I think I want like a futures market on that or something. Like see how big these. Do you have an opinion, Chad? Will these be like 7-8 million as well, like all the other skins, or is it going to be different this time around?
You're saying they're going to go up,
I don't know. I don't know how
or
like
they
a
will go?
2.5 month wait will impact the actual price of them, because you're you're stuck with that investment sort of for that time. Chat
Hmm.
chat says probably 7 to 8. Skurma says 20 to 30. Interesting.
That might be a little out of bounds, but I could see how that could potentially happen. But it could also go the other way. The thing to think about is that all of these mounts, all of them, will all be available at the same time, whereas before there were a bunch available early and then more people would get them over time, and so it had a steady flow of them, keeping the price pretty consistent. Now if all of them are released at the same time, there's going to be a bunch of people who have, these mounts who are all trying to sell them.
Mm-hmm.
This could drive the price down to like 5.
Well, another real talk here.
Yeah, no,
Like,
Pando. Yeah, they're not tradable yet. They won't be tradable until 2 weeks after the season. They're all going to be tradable at the exact same time. And whereas before you would have the merchants who specialize in gathering these with their friends and selling them completely legitly through the market, they are now instead going to have to compete with the people who just make one or two friends, and
yeah.
maybe they want to sell them as well because they need the money. So now those guys are going to be competing with the marketeers all at the exact same time, and that's going to be different. People are going to have to spread what they sell out over time if they want to make good money, but the initial release I expect to be a bit lower than the current ones. Maybe not the first 4 that sell, maybe, but around number 20 on, those are going to be cheaper for a bit.
And there's a certain floor to it, right? Which is usually around what it costs to get premium. But
Mhm.
yeah. Anyway, that's the. Oh, we have one more PSA. We do have the Crystal League Championship reminder that this is going to be a thing again this time around. This season 13 Crystal League Championship, September 18th and 19th. We will have at 17 UTC. We'll have the good old CLC with the best 8 teams of the Crystal League of the season. So big prizes to be won, good matches to be had, and the action will be here on Albion TV as well. We'll try and cover it as much as we can. Well, probably all of it, right?
Yeah, we will be covering the whole thing. I think the new method of doing the matches really gives us the ability to show it all. So last time we showed it all, and I think we'll be able to do it again.
All right.
And I guess corn on the round table.
Sure.
Okay. Now, I guess we were talking about before that we did these 2 long shows about them. I think we can skip past that and go right directly to Robin Hooder's post in this thread that Corn responds to. And we'll go to Corn's response to Robin, I guess is more accurate. I have a link in there so you don't even have to scroll. There you go. Open it as well so I have it in front of me.
So there have been a few proposed things with that, and Robin had a few follow-up questions by the community and just also I think by himself. The first is in reference to a proposed channel on Hideouts. Because that was in the initial proposal. So if you enter any hideout that is not your HQ, then you'd have a little channel attached to it.
Mhm.
And he's asking what kind of channel that would be like and how it could be interrupted if so. The response is pretty straight up. Well, I guess they haven't figured it out exactly yet, but generally they would allow people to get back in if they see that they're being camped outside.
Mhm. I mean, we can give a little bit further content on this. I believe they're even discussing the idea of the only hideouts or HQs that wouldn't have a channel would be the one that you're bound to. So if your home is set, you could get in instantly. If not, you'd have a channel. So they're saying if you have a channel in the hideout that you're leaving, right? And you leave and you want to get back in because it's being camped, they're saying you could get back in most cases. They're trying to figure out what the mechanisms would be because they don't want you to go out and then just be screwed when you find out that it's camped. They want to let you back in, right? Like they don't want you to just be completely vulnerable. So there are some windows and areas where there will be um
So that would basically attach a safety minimum to the bubble you get when you exit the hideout, right?
Mhm.
Some sort of, yeah. Okay, makes sense. Next question. For stations within a rest, will these NPC owned or will these be player owned? So for context, the proposal is that the rest cities, so Arthur's Rest, Merlin's Rest, will have similarly to the royal cities like Limehurst or Martlock, these will have city plots that players can auction for and own. A similar system would be introduced to the rest cities. Now, the
Mhm.
question is there a different mechanic to own these? And I think that there was a little bit of a proposal to do like a GVG style or 20v20 style sort of conqueror thing for the rests. But Corn responds that the current inclination is that these work just the same way like royal city plots, which means auctions once
Mhm.
a month.
And I've heard the pros and cons on this, and I don't want to take a position personally. I understand where the pros are. You don't want to change things up. You want to keep things consistent. You want to make things as easy to implement as possible. You don't want to throw too many wrenches into the system that can be exploited. But the other side is, of course, that this will be another area for the cartels to come in and once again take over, as the majority of players believe that uh, the buildings are still all controlled by cartels. And I would leave that determination to players like you, Bogle, who would understand that kind of gameplay better than I.
Well, it's big money gameplay, right? So whether or not that's a cartel, some of these big money players really don't like each other. So there's a fair bit of competition going on there, but the threshold to get into that plot ownership game is really high. So it's and some of these, also are connected and or friends, right? So there's always the weird dynamic there, but rest cities suddenly turns into a whole guild thing as well, right? So it will stay a big money thing, big player, big guild, big money. So
Mhm.
yeah.
And the next question continues in this vein on these crafting stations.
Yeah. Will there be stations for all types of refining and crafting within a rest, or will it be limited depending on the location of the rest to have a link to the royal cities, and what bonuses will these stations have within a rest? These Corn responds open plots. That means that players can decide what kind of buildings to build on them. And I have a racing car outside my window, apparently. All right, it's
Do you
gone
live
now.
near the Autobahn?
No, people like to drive loud motorcycles for some reason. All right, so back to this thing. Sorry. So open plots, the players can decide what to build on them. The crafting and refining bonuses are to be determined, but refining bonuses would probably be low to encourage royal outland transports. Now, I get it, but okay.
Hmm.
It's a really hard balance to strike, because either it's better or worse than a hideout, and it probably has to be worse than a hideout, right? So you encourage people actually having to use a hideout, and then the range between what a hideout does and what a city does is not very big. So without knowing what these energy vortexes do with the next update,
Mhm.
that range of what is good and enticing to own is interesting. Probably a little slim, but the fact that you can just quote unquote live there now would be a very different thing. Because if you suddenly have all the crafting and refining stations in a rest, that opens up guilds to live in the Outlands that
It
don't
still
have a
isn't
hideout.
incredibly easy because yes, you have your bank there, right? But I have always found that crafting out of a bank isn't always the easiest thing. I'm just gonna say, I like to have my island. I like to have my chests. I like to have everything, a certain way. Um, I don't know. I'm sure there are some people who are saying no, it's super easy. You just have to make the right tabs and everything is golden. Like that's a super big investment as well. It's interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens when you have the smaller armies able to really live out of there and not have to worry about what the big guys do, but they can still use the big guys for content. Like when there are small groups out there who are seeing what the big guys are doing and using them as content. I just hope that enough can be done over the next couple of years to really turn the big guys into content. Um, to make them more vulnerable for being large, to have more things of theirs that can be taken by smaller groups. That's my goal long term.
Cloaking system. That is referring to the bandit cowl that we talked about. So this would mean that you can hide your name, hide your alliance, hide your guild to other players that are not within your guild or alliance. And then there's some other cases as well. But the question is, would this also block it from the kill boards and or the death list, or can you inspect them? How would it work if somebody's cloaked and you try to inspect them? It would probably have to be in the answer that it cloaks kill mails as well to achieve the goal of it.
Mhm.
However, that they have to make sure internally that you can still, cheaters or
Report cheaters, yeah.
hackers or other players can be reported properly if there is any issues. So
Again, that was one of the reasons why, in order to reduce the reports necessary from people who are cloaked, is you limit the amount of chat they're able to engage in. Yes, there's some abuses, but if you can click on a player, because they're engaging in you, you should be able to report them without really even needing to type in their names. It's more of when they type to you that you really need their names, right?
would you have to do something like bandit with a random number behind it or something?
That could be it. Like it could be a situation where it says that you were killed by unknown bandit, hashtag whatever, um, so that you could throw reports, or so it just has a cataloging of it on the kill boards. But under most circumstances, you could do it as a. Hold on, let me actually pull up the post because I did do a post on this already. Just a second. Or so many posts, guys. I'm sorry. Bogle, continue talking while I look for this. It's going to take me a second.
Well, the only other question in this is the feedback I heard is that people want HQs to have a channel. And Corn responds for now will change to hideouts in such a way that a hideout, wait, that a hideout needs to be your home to enter without a channel. Okay, you mentioned that earlier. That's coming very soon. We'll see how that works and take it from there. Okay. I mean, that's almost like, it seems like a confirmation for that feature, is it?
Mm, mm.
To me, that sounds like that. But yeah.
For now on, we'll change hideouts in such a way that a hideout needs to be your home to enter without a channel. That's coming very soon, so we'll see how that works out. Yeah, that sounds like it's pretty confirmed when he says coming soon. Like, well, this is something that's been worked on longer. You're talking about the chat. Sorry, I sneezed.
Bless you. The channel, yeah.
But yeah, that one has been talked about for quite a while, and I think it's going to go in there. I can also go and talk a little bit more on the times where your name tag would be seen. The idea is to so that when you're using the tag would make you basically flagged for everybody who you're not in a group with, even the people in your guild. People in your guild could still see it's you and that you're in the guild. People in your alliance could see that it's your guild, and people outside of your alliance can't tell what guild you're in, what alliance you're in, or who you are, and it covers your tags with skull and bones. The battle boards would show the same information that the person who was killed or did the killing could see. So if you were in their guild and you killed them, it would pretty much show all the information. If you're in their alliance, it would say Bandit XXX from such and such a guild. That is the initial idea. How SBI changes it going forward and through testing, I can't, you know, determine. It's really up to the developers. All I can do is, work with them on ideas. I'm not a what would you consider a full-fledged designer or anything. I work on feedback. I bring feedback from the players to the developers, and we discuss a lot of ideas in-house, and so I get to hear their ideas as well. And occasionally they listen to just my ideas that I've had. This is not just my idea. This is something that came up with some other players as well when we were having a roundtable discussion. And it was how do we solve certain issues that appear in the game? And this seemed like a fair way to do it that didn't really change too much of the game fundamentally, but opened a window for attacks without reprisals.
Okay. Yeah. So again, all of this is being discussed, and as Shozen mentioned earlier at the show, there is going to be like another round or three of feedback on this, right? So this hopefully goes to the public forums sooner rather than
Soon,
later.
yeah. I expect very soon, yes.
Probably not this week, but after.
Well, this week there is a roundtable call where a number of members of the community be able to just voice their concerns. Some people just don't feel really comfortable typing or whatever, so they want to have their thoughts heard and have an actual back and forth discussion. And that'll be happening on Friday, which is why again we're going to be doing the interview on Friday instead of today.
Hmm.
After that, and probably another round of discussions, that's when I would expect to see that information come out and go public. So I expect it soon.
Right. Cool. Cool. So hopefully interesting things coming out soon, TM. I'm looking at my list of things and topics that I have. I suggest we skip the fishing video because it's a long time and it's already 40 minutes in, and people can watch fishing videos on their own. We can plug it, but I don't.
Yeah, we should plug it and we could do it. We could play it at the end while we're going out, while we're fading out.
We can do that, right? Let's talk about two things we found on Reddit, and then make people learn about fishing at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just typing out who won the raffle now. So just if you are wondering if you won the raffle, go ahead and look in chat. Our next two winners have been entered.
So we had three things from Reddit. One of them is a streamer that has been here on the show as well with us, who went to Reddit and said, this is what 7 days of PvP jail looks like. And I don't think everybody knows what that means.
PvP jail. The wiki. Let me get you that link. Actually, I think you sent me the link.
The wiki doesn't mean PvP jail. No.
No, I'm thinking, no, the wiki, if you pull up the wiki,
Yeah.
we can use the wiki as a way to explain what's going on here, because the wiki does show it really well, and I need to find that because I lost it.
So Nazori here says, if you look at his name, and then below his name it says dreaded, which is his reputation status, and his reputation is put down as minus 35,150 in this case.
Nothing.
So he got himself into a dreaded reputation status, and that is the result of the reputation system that exists in the Outlands. No, in the Royal City. Oh Jesus, the Royal Zone. Sorry. So, and then we looked into the wiki, and there's a whole explanation on this.
Mhm.
But basically, the TLDR is if you flag up in the royal areas and you kill players, you lose reputation, right? And then
Right. And then you have to wait for time to get your reputation back or farm specific PvE in order to get those reputation back as well.
Yeah, and he managed to farm or kill enough players to land the worst possible reputation that he has, with a threshold of below minus 20,000, right? He had minus 35, right? Somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like, oh no, that's awful. I want a PvP. What happens? And I can't. Now, why did we want to bring this up, Shozen?
So I have feelings on this, Bogul.
You have feelings. Okay.
I have feelings. So I don't think that because somebody engages in PvP and is good at it, that they should be stopped from doing it for a period of time. He had a suggestion that instead of being removed from the red zone and not being allowed to participate in red zone activities, which at this point, if you are a small scale PvPer, is the only place to really go, you you basically denied content, like, because it's just not there in the black zone. I think the original idea was to say you're going from the red zone in PvP to black zone PvP, and it's a higher level of content all the way around. You'll run into people with better gear. You'll run into people with higher skill. You'll run into more people. It will be better for the gankers in the game overall if what you want to do is gank at a high level if you do it in the black zone.
It's also supposedly serving as a protection, right? Because
It's also serving as protection for lower level players.
because if the best
Perhaps.
players who are just getting all the kills are hanging out in the newbie zones all the time, then it's a potentially bad experience if
Potentially.
potentially.
But here's the thing, and this is several things have changed over time to make the time that this went in was April 1st, 2017. I remember the day very well. April 1st is April Fool's Day. It was a Saturday. They announced this on a Saturday. It went into effect on the Monday. I was dreaded for over a month when this hit. It took away my gameplay. It said, no, you can't have this no more. I understand his feelings on this. The game has changed, though, since that day. Now, if you are a red player, like flagged, and you are in the Royals, you are hunted. You are not safe. You are hunted. You are the prey. There are so many of those little blueberries hunting you down that it's infuriating. You have to run 8 zones sometimes just to lose these guys, and it's not because they're good at tracking, it's because there's so many of those dogs chasing you down. It's hard to be a fox in the henhouse, Bogle. It's not easy. And it dreaded, you can't even go to the yellow zones to go get any safety, like, right? That you wouldn't be able to go there anyway. But the fact that you can't even go to the red zones, Bogle, they completely take away a gameplay from you and from the little blueberries, because they want to hunt you down too. It doesn't make sense that the players who are good at it, who engage in the activity the most of the time, who are content for both the royal zones players, who are those those royal zone warriors, the Sternwolf DKs out there running their little armies of goody two shoe guys going and hunting down the bandits. They're everywhere. They want that content. They get bored when there isn't that content. And the players who want to engage in small scale content and ganking, they can't really get that in the black zones right now because of hideout proliferation and just so many places to get away and the giant zergs that roam the maps. It's a little bit difficult. So those players have migrated back to the Royals just to get content. And I hate seeing just, you're gone, you can't play here because you're too good at this.
Well, then there needs to be some sort
That was a
of
good rant.
I guess. I mean, the point is that there needs to be some sort of protection against forming newbies, right? And because the guys who consistently win in the red zones potentially and presumably are either more experienced or just very good, right? One of the two. Um, potentially both, right? So there needs to be some sort of enticement to move them away from attacking just the weakest new player. And I think that's where the intent from that system comes from. Now, I guess if you figure out a way where you can allow these people to stay in, but make it progressively harder, so it's a bigger challenge for them over time, and you can still have them in the part of the ecosystem where, they can stay in somehow. That would be interesting.
What was
I think
Nazori's? Yeah, he had a recommendation, right? Like that it was, once you get dreaded, you just start to lose percentages of your health over time. Like the first ranks, nobody really has a problem with because they understand there should be some kind of reputation system in place. It's okay. It's just that once you get to dreaded and you can't play there, that's where it becomes a problem. You can't even do some of the good PvP grinds for rep because you can't get to the royal zones where some of the best fame grinds are for solo players. So it's,
I mean, to me, it just shows that there's a disconnect, and that's hopefully getting like a disconnect between where the best players should be, which is the Outlands.
yeah.
Or
And
at
what
least
gameplay is available there?
right. And then we're they're reworking that part right now, right? So it's hopefully on the horizon, right? But it's maybe an interim or temporary fix to change a few numbers there, or change the outcome of dreaded reputation from completely locking you out to giving you a different kind of debuff. Maybe that's something to try out, right? Maybe that's something to try temporarily, and then you can revert that later on if it's getting too dangerous and too scary. I mean,
well, I think I do want to state this because I see some people are confused in chat. This isn't to make ganking easier or allow ganking to happen everywhere to increase the amount of ganking. This is to allow the people who already have that style of gameplay to continue what they're doing without having to take 2-week long breaks in between to PvE grind. The royals are not supposed to be safe. And just because somebody is better at doing a specific type of activity doesn't mean they should necessarily be removed from that activity for periods of time. If they're not supposed to do it, they shouldn't be able to do it at all, or they should be able to do it. Like having a artificial limit on the amount that you can do seems to be weird. I would like to see people do this in the black zones. I would love to see this is where people could get this kind of content. I would love for people to live in the black zones. That's one of my goals, is to find ways to encourage people to live in the black zones, to find good suggestions from the players that say, how do we live in the black zones? This is what we can do, and bring those to the devs. But until players are living in the black zones and there's something for this type of player to do, limiting it where that content exists, I don't agree with. And I agree with reputation system. I agree with making it harder. I agree with punishing players. But there's a limit to the amount of punishment that you should put on a player.
yeah. One of these things that have been in the game for a long time that can use a look into. I don't have anything else to say on that other than I want to watch these other two videos that we have because we are running out of time.
Sure.
So the next one we have on the list is a thing that we had on the ZVZ show, which has been a theme for the last few days. PoE attacking with a lot of players elevate, and then they struggle a little bit for or a lot, I guess, and then at some point in time they just overwhelm the weaker amount of players. But sometimes the small amount of players get really juicy, really big clumps, and that is used for a lot of memes and propaganda. And this one, I think we showed on the ZVZ show for sure. But it's still worthy looking at again. Do you want to explain the background of this special engagement?
No, just play it. Just let this engagement roll.
All right.
Was it tower 5, 4, 3, 2, full west over tower, full west over tower, change, full west over tower, full west over tower, full west over tower. Oh my god, holy shit! Come here, my screen's lagging. Come here, yo, careful, stop. Demons, locusts. Holy fuck! Oh, you good thing I just killed everyone. Come on, demons.
One more time.
Yeah,
so
do it again.
It's elevate fighting PoE, elevates the green. PoE is the
tower 5, 4, 3, 2, full west over tower, change, full west over tower, full west over tower. Oh my god, holy shit! Come here, my screen's lagging. Come here, yo, careful, stop. Demons, locusts. Holy fuck! Oh, you good thing I just killed everyone. Come on, demons.
I think
I agree. That was the most boring thing I've ever seen. Somebody just wrote in chat, ZVZs are so boring. I think it's boring when you blow up 30 people at once. It's boring. That's exactly the word I would use.
I mean, Tamashi sounded pretty bored, I have to say.
Yeah, he sounded like out of his mind. Like he didn't even know what he was doing. Eyes rolling back in his head, bored.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was surprised as what was happening, and he's just like, "Oh, okay, I'll take it."
Yeah, there was a couple of those that day. There was also another one by Guild Xena that happened right after that. It's been very interesting watching your mom and your sis, the two alliances that used to be known as Steve.
Yeah,
have been fighting against the PoE Mega Super Alliance. And it's been fun to watch because PoE will come with, 250 and the Steve will come with 100, 150. So they're generally outnumbered like 2 to 1. And it's been fighting every day at 18 UTC, and we've been watching it. It's been going back and forth. Sometimes PoE can surround them and completely crush them. Sometimes Steve grinds them out and is able to send PoE. It's been fun, and there's been a lot of really good kill boards generated by these two teams. Sorry about that, but it's been fun to watch, and I really enjoy watching two teams fight day in and day out. It's unfortunate that they don't have anything to really fight for right now, other than the act of fighting. They keep fighting over the same castles for a minuscule amount of points, but it's more to just get the content right now. The war that we had been watching is over, but these two groups really still have quite a bit of animosity towards each other, and there's not a lot for PoE to destroy from their perspective of what can they really destroy of Steve's. The only thing they can do is kill him on the kill boards, and that's it. And it's been happening back and forth. It's been good to watch.
I agree. Another thing that's been good to watch sometimes is when similar things happen in the Archlands, right? When large guilds go and try to live a red tree safari. Most of the time that ends badly because Arch just sounds the horn of Gondor and everybody shows up from the mountains. But nevertheless, it sometimes is a struggle for the Archlings and these guys to do an as impressive of a performance as some of the very organized ZVZ guilds in that respect. Now that has given Arch a little bit of a reputation in the past, and we often joke about that for a good reason, I think, even though it has been getting better over time, right? But still, it's one of these ongoing memes that Arch is a special kind of alliance. Somebody else went to Reddit as well and made a little video about a special dungeon experience that they had with Arch.
This is hilarious.
And it's It has comms, but it looks like somebody is going into a dungeon to. I don't know exactly what they were
Knife
doing.
some guys. They're trying to kill some guys.
They're trying to kill some guys, right? So just watch this and then. Yeah, just yeah.
You'll get the hang of it once they start trying to kill the guys. You got the volume on here, Bogle, so they're describing it.
Let's find out. Let's go, boys.
Okay, my weapon just trashed. Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, I just died.
That didn't work out how I wanted it to, guys.
They went into me.
It was going good.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes, we got two people. We got two people. God bless.
He's gonna. No, I don't think he kills.
No, he just killed
He
two
killed
people.
two, but
Yeah, he killed the A3 weeping.
just go out. Just walk on the entrance. Walk on the entrance.
Look how low he is.
Well, you got that little dark.
Oh, yeah, lass.
And what now?
Can't really do anything, dude.
What do I
Just try to run. Just try to run. Run through the mobs. Run through the mobs. Get knocked. But like, I don't know.
What the fuck?
He's over.
You have
Maybe.
your E up. You have your E up. But I don't know. Can't really do anything.
So bad.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Wait, let's go.
How shit is
Let's
that,
fucking
dude?
Oh my.
What the
That's
fuck?
ridiculous.
I just watch. You're lucky my weapon trash.
Bogle. What did he do there? Why did he pick up all that loot? Bogle, I think you're muted.
Right, I was muted. I'm saying it's entertaining to watch these guys' disbelief, right? When they go enter and they completely fail at trying to destroy them, and they're like, "Oh shit, that didn't go as planned." But for some reason, he pulls out that magic victory at the end. And then how the one guy is overloaded is just hilarious. And then,
Oh, that's so great. He just like overloaded trying to kill this one guy and just no luck at all.
yeah.
That is so brutal. It looked so over for these guys when his weapon trash, like the shot caller's weapon trashes as he enters the fight. Like
Because of overcharge, right?
immediately, yes, immediately as they're entering the fight, his weapon breaks and they're trashed from it. This one guy able to survive, kill everybody, just absolutely ridiculous. Awesome bit of content here. Skill is OP.
I'm just watching it again in silence. He tries to leave, but he's in combat, so he can't leave. And then he's realizing that the other guy's really slow and that he can just outmaneuver him.
You can just kill him, yeah.
And then
Well, I
he
don't even know if
realizes,
he knows he can kill him. I think he's just gonna fight. He's like, oh, fuck, I'm gonna fight this.
I mean, I guess you realize that he used up his cooldowns, and then you realize that your dagger or your chest piece is back up, which gives you life steal, right? And then you're just like, all right, he missed his one thing that can damage me, and I can heal up based on attacking him. And then he's making a very good call and just like, all right, I can win this. And then the K procs as well, and then he's just like, all right, thanks.
So, Bogle, for the last few days, maybe even a little bit longer than that, almost a week or so, I've been making fun of PoE saying they were as bad as Arch.
Yes.
Okay. Now you just saw that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now I just got sent a kill board by Pando Baron, a member of Elevate here, and one of our mods, who wanted to show us something a little bit more comparative so that we can understand what it's like when Elevate fights Arch. Because we've been comparing, PoE's gameplay recently to that level of Arch. And, that's not a nice thing to do to somebody. And I think that now we need to put this into perspective. And maybe we were exaggerating a little bit, and PoE wasn't quite fighting like Arch. I think you need to put that kill board that I just linked in the Daily Show.
66 players for your mom, HOG. 400 kills, 62 deaths.
474 kills to 62 deaths.
Oh, what the hell? An arch? What's going on?
Yeah, that's so we have really been just being rude to PoE at this point. I think that's unfair to say them because when you see what true arch play is like,
Mm-hmm.
with the top number of players in a single guild, 15, when they have 346 players involved in the fight. So a single guild has 15 players. That's the most like that we see over there. Oh gosh.
Question. Is it cut off so it doesn't show all the arch guilds?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, there's tons more because that
Yeah.
doesn't equal the amount of arch players that they had there.
Yeah. All right. Wow. I mean,
That's like 35.
That's what
There's
I mean
another-
by Red Tree Safari, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh well. Oh well. That's where the content is, I guess. Now, are we doing any other raffles? Any other things? Any other?
Hold on, we got to do one more thing. I got the full killboard link.
So we
you can
got to
see-
prove that it's real.
So yeah, so this is
It's not Photoshop. We have to do that now.
but
Okay.
so I can actually say that the most a single guild from Arch brought to this fight was 27. 23, I take that back. My bad. I overestimated Arch. Or I just can't read numbers. It's one of the two.
Mhm.
But Bogul
Yes.
does not look good for Arch in this billboard. I'm going to just go ahead and paste this over here for everybody so they can all play with it.
All right.
Oh, boy.
Oh, this goes on. All right. Jesus. What the hell? The fuck? Oh, wait. All right. I'm going back up. Takes a while. Let me wait. Almost. It's there we go. There. Yeah. All right.
Why? Hey, this just solved a mystery for me. I was always wondering what that 5-1, 1-5 comment was in the Doors song there. Figured it out. It's the ratio of deaths to kills for Arch. Got it. It took 40 years for that to become clear, but now I understand.
Let's get out of here. I'm done for
5-1.
today. I don't know about you.
Gold?
Are we
We're 2
still-
minutes over. Yeah,
Are we
I'm going
still
to be paying
doing
you
gold?
more. I'll do one more.
Oh. Okay. Well, see you, chat. Lucky you. If it wasn't for Shozen talking so long, you would have gotten one raffle less.
At World of the Dreams.
Pays to stick around.
All right, and we're out. All right, thank you guys for tuning in. We will be back again tomorrow with the ZVZ War Report, as well as the feedback loop. So stick around, and I will talk to you guys then. Have a good one. We're out.
Going out, we will show the video guide on fishing made
Oh, cool.
by Bridges T of Sotheby. Will be gone right after the show, but in case you want to link somebody a good guide on fishing, you can check that out and link her out. I'll put the link in Twitch chat. Enjoy and see you tomorrow.
In your journeys across Albion, you've probably noticed folks standing by the shorelines or on the docks fishing. If you've ever wondered how you can get in on the fishing action, keep watching this video to learn everything you need to know. Naturally, in order to fish, you'll need a fishing rod. But before you can use a fishing rod, you'll have to unlock Trainee Gatherer on your Destiny board. You may have already done this by now, but if not, just gather a few T2 resources like logs, stone, or hides, or fiber. It really won't take long. Now, the easiest way to get a fishing rod is to buy it at the marketplace. Just search for fishing rod. The lowest level fishing rods available are T3. There are no Tier 2 fishing rods. If the Tier 3 rod is red in the marketplace listing, that means you haven't yet unlocked Trainee Gatherer, so you won't be able to use the rod until you do, but you can still buy it. Another way you can get a fishing rod is to craft one yourself. You can do this at the toolmaker shop in any town or city. For a tier 3 rod, you'll just need 6 chestnut planks and 2 bolts of neat cloth, tier 3. Here's one other thing to note about fishing rods. As with other gathering tools, you can catch fish up to 1 tier above the fishing rod you are using. For example, using a tier 3 rod, you can catch anything up to a tier 4 fish, but not a tier 5 fish. Once you've got your fishing rod, you can fish almost anywhere you see water. A good rule of thumb is, if the water is shallow enough that you can wade through it, you can't fish there. Otherwise, any water in the world will work. Try fishing in different locations like in town, in the wilderness, or on your island or guild island. If you have a fishing rod in your inventory, no need to equip it, then when you mouse over water, your cursor automatically changes to a fishing bobber. Just click and hold the mouse button to cast your fishing line into the water. Your line will fly in between your position and wherever you point your cursor. The distance depends on how long you hold the mouse button before you release it. A quick release results in a short cast. A long hold results in a longer cast. Now, watch your bobber and listen. When your line is in the water, the cursor changes to a hook as long as it's over water. When a fish bites your hook, the bobber will briefly sink with a splash. Quickly click anywhere in the water to set the hook. Now the battle begins. The fish wants to get away, so you'll have to fight to reel it in. Keep the bobber icon centered in the meter as much as possible. You can do this by clicking and/or holding the mouse button. Using a combination of both clicking and holding is a good way to make sure the bobber doesn't go too far to the left or too far to the right. If it does either, your line will snap and the fish will get away. As the fight progresses, pay attention to the fish's progress meter. Your goal is to get it all the way to the right. If it slides off to the left, the fish will get away. Once you do get it all the way to the right, the fish is yours. Look for active fishing nodes with fish visible on the surface of the water. You'll get a bite faster than if you just cast randomly. And by the way, fish aren't the only things you can catch with a fishing rod. When you see a floating treasure chest, be sure to cast your line and reel it in for a reward of luxury items you can sell at the market. Another way to make fish bite sooner is to add bait to your line. You can buy bait at the market or create it at a cook station using earthworms. Earthworms, in turn, come as a natural byproduct when you harvest plants or herbs on your island. Once you have bait in hand, add it to your potion slot and you can buff your fishing ability with it. If you want to make it easier to catch fish once you've got them hooked, try eating Seaweed Salad. Equip it in the food slot and then press the food shortcut. This increases fishing speed. Seaweed Salad is made from seaweed. When you fish in areas that have not been exhausted, you have a chance to fish up seaweed in addition to whatever else you catch. The chances of catching seaweed increase in higher tier areas. You can prepare seaweed salad at a cooking station. Of course, you can always buy the salad at the market too, so seaweed is quite valuable. When you're fishing, your location makes a difference. Each region has fish up to the region's tier. For example, a tier 5 region has fish of up to tier 5, but does not have any tier 6 fish. Most of Albion is home to freshwater fish, and you can catch different varieties depending on the area's tier. Plus, each biome has its own rare breeds in tiers 3, 5, and 7. And some rare freshwater fish can only be found in the roads of Avalon. And then there are ocean fishes, which live in salt water. Here again, there's a different variety of common fish in each tier, plus 3 types of rare ocean fishes. To catch ocean fishes, you must fish in coastal regions. If a zone has both freshwater and saltwater, the saltwater is a darker shade of blue on the region map. All of the rare freshwater and ocean fishes, except sharks, are required ingredients in unique cooking recipes that yield various food buffs. If you want to increase the amount of fish you catch per cast, try equipping special fishing gear. Like everything else, you can usually buy this at the market. You can also craft it at the toolmaker shop. Eating foods that give gathering yield buffs, such as pies, can improve your fishing yield as well. Just keep in mind that both the gear and the food buff work by applying a percentage chance that you'll gain an extra fish. You can't catch 1.32 herrings or 1.69 striped mackerels or something. Either you get a whole fish or you don't. So sometimes you won't get any extra fish. But when the yield buff from gear and food procs, you will. The higher your buffs, the more likely you are to get an extra fish each time you cast. Equipping higher level fisherman gear will result in higher yield buffs. In this example, the gear is tier 6 and the maximum buff from the gear is 30%. But with tier 8 gear, you can get up to a 70% yield buff, not counting food. Another way to increase your fishing yield is to use an Avalonian Fishing Rod. Like regular rods, these can be purchased at the market or crafted at a toolmaker station. But you need Avalonian energy to craft them. To level up your fishing skill faster, consider eating the fish that you catch raw. That's right, just stick the fish in the food slot and chow down. For every fish you eat, you'll gain half of the fame that you earned from catching it. This means you can increase your fishing fame 50% faster than if you don't eat the fish. Okay, here's one more tip for you. If you have a lot of fish, take them to the marketplace and sell them. Or, for tier 1 fish, take them to a butcher and chop them into chopped fish for use in special fish sauce. This sauce is used to enchant food recipes. At the market, compare the selling prices of the tier 1 fish in your inventory with the price of chopped fish to help you decide which will earn you the most silver. Thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments below what kinds of videos you'd like to see next.